안녕하세요. 산타 잉글리시입니다. 오늘은 Magic Treehouse Book 13, Vacation Under the Volcano 책을 처음부터 끝까지 읽어보도록 하겠습니다.
Chapter 1, A Secret Code.
Jack reached into his drawer and took out a secret library card. He held a thin piece of wood and ran his finger over its shimmering letters. M.L. Master Librarian, he whispered. Jack couldn't believe that he and his sister Annie were finally Master Librarians. He wondered if she'd pack up a secret locker to take on vacation. His family was about to leave for a week in the mountains. Just then, Annie stuck her head into Jack's room. "Want to check the woods?" she asked. Every morning, they looked in the Frog Creek woods to see if Morgan Le Fay and her magic treehouse had returned. "We can't," said Jack. "We're leaving soon." "But what if Morgan's there?" said Annie. "What if she's waiting for us?" "Oh, okay," said Jack. "Let's look fast." He grabbed his backpack. He threw in his notebook, his pencil, and his secret library card. Then he followed Annie downstairs. "We'll be back soon," Annie called. "Don't go far," their dad called. "We're leaving in 20 minutes. "Don't worry, we'll be back in 10, said Annie. Right, thought Jack. 5 minutes in the woods and 5 minutes back. Even if Morgan sent them an adventure, they would return at exactly the same time that they left. Jack and Annie ran out the front door. In the bright morning sunshine, they hurried across the lawn and down the street. "I had a nightmare last night," said Annie. "What was it?" said Jack. "I dreamed fires were burning," said Annie. "Everything was smoky and dark. The ground was shaking. Do you think it's burning?" "Nah," said Jack. "Nightmares never come true." They left the sidewalk and headed into the Frog Creek woods. The woods were quiet and peaceful. They walked between sunlight trees until they came to the tallest oak in the woods. "Yay!" said Annie. There it was, the magic treehouse, and Morgan Le Fay was waving from the window. "Hail, Master Librarians," he said. Jack and Annie bowed playfully. "At your service," said Annie. "Then come on up," said Morgan. They grabbed the rope ladder and started up. When they climbed inside the treehouse, they found Morgan holding a book and a piece of paper. "I have an important mission for you," she said. "Are you ready?" "Yes," they both answered. Jack's heart pounded. Ever since Morgan had made the Master Librarians, he had been longing for the first mission. "You know I collect books for Camelot's library," she said. Jack and Annie nodded. "Well, there have been many great libraries lost in history," said Morgan, "and with them we have lost many wonderful stories." "That's sad," said Annie. "It is," said Morgan, "but luckily, with the help of the treehouse and you two Master Librarians, some of those stories can be saved, such as this one." Morgan showed them a piece of paper. There was strange writing on it.
Vir fortissimus in mundo.
"Is that a secret code?" said Jack. Morgan smiled. "In a way," she said. "Actually, it's the title of the lost story. It's written in Latin, the language of ancient Romans of Italy." "Ancient Romans?" said Jack. He loved anything to do with ancient Romans. "Yes," said Morgan. "This story was at the library in a Roman town. I need you to get it before the libraries become lost forever." "No problem," said Annie. "Do you have your secret library's cards?" asked Morgan. "Yes," said Jack. "Good. Do not lose them. The right people will know what they mean," said Morgan. "And as usual, here's a book to help you." Morgan handed Jack a book called Life in Roman Times. The cover showed the Roman time people wearing tunics and sandals. "That looks great," said Jack. "And take this, the name of the story I need," said Morgan. She handed the piece of paper to Jack and put it in his bag. Remember, said Morgan, your research book will guide you. But remember, in your darkest hour, only the ancient story can save you. But first you must find it. Jack and Annie nodded. Go now, Morgan said softly, and don't forget what I just told you. Thanks, said Jack. He pointed at the cover of the book on Roman times. I wish we could go there, he said. The wind started to blow. I almost forgot. I will go to help you to blend in, Morgan shouted over the wind. What do you mean? Shouted Jack. Before Morgan could answer, the treehouse started to spin. It spun faster and faster and faster, and then everything was still. Absolutely still. Oh, cool, whispered Annie. Look at us.
Chapter 2. The end is near.
Jack opened his eyes. He pushed the glasses into place. Morgan was gone, and so were Jack's jeans, t-shirt, sneakers, and backpack. Instead, he had on a white tunic with a belt, sandals that laced up, and a leather bag. He looked at Annie. She was dressed the same way. Morgan had made them just like the kids in an ancient Roman town. I guess this is what Morgan meant, said Jack, when she said she will have to blend in. I feel like Cinderella, said Annie. I like this clothes. Yeah, said Jack, although he felt a little as if he were wearing a dress. Annie looked at the window. It's prettier, she said. Jack looked with her. They had landed in a grove of trees. On one side of the grove rose a gentle-looking mountain. On the other, a town sparkled in the sunlight. I wonder where we are, said Jack. He opened the book about Roman times. He read aloud. Almost 2,000 years ago, on August 24, AD 79, seaside town of Pompeii was a typical Roman town. Many Romans went there on vacation. They built large houses called villas and planted groves of olive trees along the slope of the mountain called the Vespies. Eddie kept looking at the window as Jack pulled out his notebook and pencil. He wrote, Vacation in Pompeii, August 24, AD 79, houses called villas. Jack looked out the window again. It doesn't look like a nice place to go on vacation, he said. We must be landed in all olive groves, said Annie. Yeah, and the town must be Pompeii, said Jack. He looked at the opposite direction. The mountain must be Mountain Vesuvius. Annie shivered. That name sounds scary, she said. Really? Said Jack. Not to me. He looked down at his note. Hey, did you feel that? Said Annie. What? Jack looked up. The ground shook. I heard it rumble too, said Annie. Jack frowned. I think you're just dreaming again, he said. No, I wasn't, said Annie. Something feels wrong about this place. I really think we should go home now. Are you nuts? Said Jack. We have to find a lost story for Morgan. Besides, I always haven't seen Roman town. He threw his notebook and the Roman book into his letter bag. Then he wandered down the rope ladder. Come on, he called when he stepped on the ground. Annie just stared down at him. Don't be chicken, he said. He pushed his glass into place. Come on, it'll be fun. Annie still didn't move. What's wrong with her? Jack wondered. Usually I'm the worried one. Come on, he pleaded. We can't let Morgan down. Annie let out a big sigh. Okay, but we better find the story fast, she said. Finally, she climbed down the rope ladder. The sun was bright and hot as they took off between the olive trees. With Mountain Vesuvius bags, they headed to Pompeii. That's weird, said Annie. I don't hear any birds. She was right. The grove was strangely silent. Don't worry about it, said Jack. Maybe they're all at the beach. Come on, let's go out on the bridge. He led the way to a small wooden bridge to cross the narrow stream. But when they got to the stream, they found it dried up. That's really weird, said Annie. Don't worry, said Jack. It just means there was much rain. They crossed the bridge and stepped onto the busy street. It was paved with stone. People were buying things in the open shops and lined the street. Some looked rested and busy. Others moved slowly. Kids walked with parents. Groups of teenagers talked and laughed. They don't seem different from the people shopping in Crow Creek, Jack thought, except for the clothes, of course. How will we ever find the ancient lost library? Said Annie, glancing around. I don't know, said Jack. Just be on the lookout. Jack walked past shops that had huge jars on them. Jack looked closely. He saw that were filled with grain, dried fruit, and olives. Meat hung from the ceiling of some stores. They passed a noisy tavern with people eating and drinking. A young man played a string instrument. See, there's nothing to worry about, said Jack. This place isn't all that different from our time. It's not that, said Annie with a worried look. See, there's the barber shop and the shoe shop, said Jack, pointing. A boy was getting a haircut by the barber. A girl was trying a new pair of sandals with the mother. It is kind of like home, Annie agreed, then kept walking until they passed a bakery filled with freshly baked flatbreads. That bread is like a pizza, said Annie, smiling. Yeah, said Jack. The good smell from the bakery made him feel even more at home. Jack looked at Annie. She was resting, smiling, and walked on. Soon came a large square filled with people, carts, and horses, and more shopping stalls. Honey cakes, stuffed dates, peacock eggs, sellers called. Farmers were selling grapes, garlic, and onions. Fishermen were selling all kinds of fish. A few people stood in boxes, giving speeches to small crowds. Hey, I bet it's the forum, said Jack. He reached in his bag for his book. He flipped through until he found a picture of a square. He read, the center of the Roman town was called a forum. The forum was the main place where people met to sell books and discuss politics. I was right, said Jack. He pulled out his notebook. He wrote, forum, center of town. Jack, whispered Annie. Jack! She tugged on his tunic. Look! Jack glanced up. Annie nodded toward the old woman who was sitting straight up. She wore a black coat. Her gray hair was gleaming wild. She was missing her teeth. The woman pointed a bony finger at Jack and Annie. The end is near, she said in a raspy voice. Go home, strangers. Yikes, said Annie. We'd better get away from her, said Jack, before people wonder who we are. He put away his book. Then he and Annie hurried away. The old woman cackled behind them.
Chapter 3. Gladiators.
Jack and Annie hid behind the fruit stall. They waited for a moment, then peered around the corner. I don't see her, said Jack. Who was she? Asked Annie. I don't know, but she looks lost to me, said Jack. What's the book say about her? Said Annie. She won't be in there, said Jack. Just look, said Annie. Jack sighed and pulled out the book again. To his surprise, he found a picture of the old woman. He read aloud. In Roman times, there were people who could see the future and warned others about what they saw. These people were called soothsayers. See, she wasn't nuts, said Annie. She was giving us a warning, just like my nightmare. Don't pay attention to that stuff, said Jack. Soothsayers or for modern times. People from our time didn't believe in them. Well, I do, said Annie. I'm sure something bad is going to happen. Jack sighed. Come on, we have to keep going. We have to find the lost library. Then we leave at once. We better, said Annie. They left the fruit stand and kept walking through the forum. Soon they came to a large building, crowds of streaming under it. Is that a library? Said Annie. Let's look, said Jack. He looked in the Roman book. He found a picture of a building and read aloud. Most people in Pompeii did not have a bathtub at home, so they went daily to public baths. Not only people washed the baths, They also swam, played sports, and visited with friends. This sounds going to be cool, said Annie. But it's not a library. Let's keep walking. They kept walking until soon they came a fancy building in large columns. Is that a library? Said Annie. Jack found a picture of the building and read aloud. The people of Pompeii believe many gods and goddesses ruled the world. This is the temple of Jupiter, the chief god. In this temple, they prayed Jupiter out of their pagans. Today, we call the stories about Jupiter and the other gods and gods myths. My teacher read the myths to us, said Jack. I remember stories about Hercules and Apollo. Yeah, my teacher read them too, said Annie. I like stories about Venus and Medusa. Hey, maybe the story will look for the myth, said Jack. Fine, said Annie. Come on, hurry. Let's keep looking. They left the forum and turned onto the wide street. Jack gasped. In front of them was an incredible sight. Tall warriors with huge muscles were walking in a line. They wore fancy helmets and carried heavy shields. Soldiers, thought Jack. Then he saw the warriors' feet chained together, and guards walked in them. Gladiators, he whispered.
Chapter 4. Scary Things.
Jack pulled out his book and found a picture of the strong man. He read aloud. Gladiators were slaves or criminals who fought in the amphitheater. They were forced to fight each other or wild animals like lions or bears. The people of Pompeii thought a gladiator fight took away fun. That's not fun, said Annie. No wonder I think it's weird here. No kidding, said Jack. That's not like our time at all. Jack and Annie watched the guards lead the gladiator away. They went toward the building that looked like an outdoor stadium. That must be the amphitheater, said Jack. Let's check it out. Oh, all right, but it's not a library, said Annie. He and Annie started up the street toward the amphitheater. A large crowd had gathered near the entrance. Men and women cheered as the gladiator marched inside. Jack and Annie started to follow them, but the guards held the spear. No children allowed, he said stiffly. Run along now. Yes, run along. Run for your lives, came a raspy, hissing voice. Jack and Annie whirled around. It was the soothsayer. She was waving her bony finger at them. Oh no, her again, said Jack. Let's get away from here. He started to take off. Wait, said Jack. I want to talk to her. Are you crazy? Said Jack. But before he could stop her, Annie ran up to the soothsayer. Jack watched the distance and the woman talked to Annie. Jack, come here, quick, called Annie. Oh, brother, said Jack. He sighed and went over to Annie and soothsayer. Tell him, said Annie. The woman fixed her gaze on Jack. All the streams of Pompeii have dried up, she said. Remember the stream near the olive grove? Said Annie. So what? Said Jack. Maybe they just need rain. No, said Annie. There are more scary things. Tell him. All the birds have flown away, the soothsayer said. Jack just stared at her. She said that all the lads left too, said Annie, and the cows are making strange noises. But why? Said Jack. The sea is boiling hot, the old woman said, and the ground shakes and speaks. See, I told you, Annie said to Jack. But why are these things happening? Jack asked the soothsayer. Because the end is near, she whispered hoarsely. We have to leave now, said Annie. But what about the library? Said Jack. What library? The soothsayer asked. Show her the story title, Jack, said Annie. Jack took the piece of paper from his bag. He showed her writing in the soothsayer. A book with this title in the library in town. He said, So, the older woman said. So we have to save it, said Annie. She pulled out a secret library card. The soothsayer stared for a moment at the card and the shimmering letters on it. Then she smiled warmly at Jack and Annie. Yes, I understand now, she said. The only library I know is in the House of Books. She pointed at a large villa at the end of the street. Look there, quickly. Will Brutus mind? Said Jack. Brutus and his household are all in Rome, the soothsayer said. That is merely their vacation villa. But we can't just go in and take something of theirs, said Jack. The old woman shook her head sadly. After today, there will be nothing left in Pompeii, she said. Nothing at all. Jack felt a chill go down his spine. Go and get the what you came here for, said the soothsayer. Then leave at once. Thanks, said Jack. He grabbed Annie's hand. Come on. Thanks, said Annie called to the small woman. You should leave too, she added. Then Annie and Jack started running to the vacation villa. They ran as fast as they could.
Chapter 5. Books.
Jack and Annie ran up to the front entrance of the villa. Jack pushed the door open. Go in, hurry, said Annie. They slipped into the main hall. Hello, Annie called. There was no answer. The place seemed empty. The main hall had a large opening in the ceiling. Below it was a small stone pool filled with water. Jack looked at it carefully. Oh, I bet rain comes through the hole, said Jack. Then it lands in the pool so they can use water. He started to take out a notebook to make a note. There's no time, Jack, said Annie. We have to look in all the room for books. Okay, calm down, said Jack. He put away his book and followed Annie. Books, she said, peering into the room of the hall. She moved to the next room. Books. Then she moved to the next. Jack trailed behind her. Even though she had all checked the rooms, he took a quick peek into them. He wanted to see what the house in Roman times looked like. He'd write notes there. The first two rooms had wooden beds, the walls and pictures painted on them. The floor was covered with a tiny piece of cobblestone. The third room had a low table with silver dishes on it. 3 sloping couches were placed around the table. The couches were covered with pillows. This must be the dining room, said Jack. People from Roman times all ran to the couches when they ate. Did you know that? She looked around for Annie. Where was she? Jack, come here, Annie called. Jack followed her voice. She was in the garden of the dining room. It had its own patio, palm trees, and a grapevine. In the middle of the pond was a mermaid fountain. Goldfish swam in the water. Look, there's another room, said Annie. She moved to the door, a room under the garden. She opened the door and peeked inside. Jack looked with her. Along the walls of the room were long shelves with rolls of the paper in them. Rat, said Annie. No books. She closed the door. No books in the whole villa. Let's get out of here. Just a minute, said Jack. I have an idea. He pulled out his book of Roman times. He found a section called Writing. He read, Roman used pens made of small reeds. They ink and partly from the back ink of octopus. They wrote books on scrolls papyrus paper. Aha, said Jack. That's a library of scrolls. I bet an ancient lost story is in there.
Chapter 6. The end is here.
Jack threw open the door into the room scrolls. He and Annie rushed in and ran over to the shelves. Jack pulled off the piece of paper with the Latin title on it.
Vir fortissimus in mundo.
Okay, he said, we have to find the scroll with his title. They began frantically unrolling the scroll one by one. They were all handwritten in Latin. Here it is, said Annie. She held up a scroll. The words at the top matched the one on the paper. Yeah, said Jack. I wish I could read the Latin so we can find out what the story is. Don't think about it now, said Annie. Let's go. She handed the
scroll
scroll to Jack, then started out of the room. "Come on," she said. "Bring it." "I just want to check to see what story about," said Jack. He put the scroll in the letter bag. Then he flipped through the book on Roman times, looking for a picture of the ancient scroll. In the middle of the book, he found a picture of a volcano erupting over the town. Under the picture was a pit. For 1800 years, Mount Vesuvius was a peaceful mountain. Rising above the town was a Pompeii. Then at the noon, on August 24, AD 79, it erupted into the deadly volcano. "Oh no," whispered Jack. "August 24, AD 79. That's today." "Oh man, what time is it?" He looked around widely. "Annie!" She was gone again. "Annie!" Jack grabbed the letter bag, then clutched the book. He tore out the scroll room. "Annie!" he cried. "What?" Annie appeared at the door to the dining room. "Volcano!" shouted Jack. "What?" said Annie. It's coming a volcano at noon," said Jack. Annie gasped. "What time is it?" cried Jack. So that's the soothsayer meant," Annie said. "The end is near." "What time is it?" Jack asked again. He looked around the garden. He saw it plainly near the mermaid fountain. "A sundial,"
he said. "That's how the Romans
Romans
told
told
time."
I. Jack and Annie raced to the sundial. "What time does it say?" said Annie. "I don't know," said Jack. His hand shook as he turned the pages of the book. He stopped on the picture of the sundial. He showed examples of different times. Jack moved back and forth from the page to the real sundial in the garden. "Here," he said. He had found the one that matched. Jack read the writing under the picture. "The shadow on the sundial can hardly be seen at noon." "Oh, man," he whispered. He looked at Annie. "The end is near. The end is here."
Just then he heard a
terrible blast. It was the loudest sound he had ever heard.
Chapter 7. The Sky is Falling.
The next thing Jack knew, he was lying on the stone patio. The patio stones were trembling. A rumbling sound came from the ground. Jack raised his head. Annie was on the ground, too. "You okay?" said Annie. Jack nodded. Everything was shaking and crashing down around them. Pots, plants, the mermaid fountain. Water from the goldfish pond slushed on the patio, and Jack and Annie. They both jumped off the roof tiles, began falling into the garden. "We better get inside," said Jack. He grabbed his letter bag. Then he and Annie stumbled into the scroll library. Giant cracks split the stone floor as Jack and Annie ran into the window and looked out. Gold glowing rocks were bursting through the sky above the mountain Vesuvius. The whole top of the mountain had blown off. "What's happening?" said Annie. "I'll check," said Jack. He pulled out the Roman book. He read aloud from the section of the volcano. "When a volcano erupts, hot melt rocks, called magma, is pushed to the surface of the earth. Once against the side of the volcano, it's called lava." "Lava? That's like burning mud," said Jack. "It's covered everything," cried Annie. Jack kept waiting. There was no running lava from the Mount Vesuvius. The magma from the volcano cooled so fast that frozen white rocks called pumice. A pumice rock is very light and has holes like a sponge. "That doesn't sound too bad," said Annie. "Wait, that's more," said Jack. He read on. "A great cloud of pumice ash and burning rocks shot miles into the air, and it rained on the Pompeii. It completely buried the town." "Oh man, said Jack. "This is a major disaster." "Yeah, it's getting dark," said Annie. Jack looked back again. A thick black cloud was spreading over the earth like an umbrella. The sun vanished as skies turned smoky gray. "That must be the cloud of pumice and ash," said Jack. Then the ground trembled again. Chunks of plaster from the ceiling fell on the scroll. "We have to get out of here," said Annie. They ran from the school library into the garden. Ash and pumice began to fall. We have to cover our heads, said Jack. They hurried from the garden into the dining room. Look, pillows, said Annie. Let's put them on our heads. They hurried to the couches beside the table and each grabbed a pillow. Tie it around my head with a belt, said Jack. They both pulled up belts around their tunics. Then they tied the pillows on like giant hats. A chunk of ceiling crashed down near them. Let's get here, said Jack. They stepped up for a piece of fallen roof and ran into the main hall. They pushed open the front door. A blast of heat and dust nearly knocked them over. And when they stepped outside, pumice rained down onto the pillow hats. Run! Cried Annie. They ran from the vacation villa into the dark, burning streets.
Chapter 8. Nightmare at Noon.
In the distance, first fire burst from Mountain Vesuvius. Burning rocks and fiery ash fell from the sky. The hot, dusty air smelled of rotten eggs as Jack and Annie raced down the street. In the form, everyone, shoppers, soldiers, gladiators, fruit sellers, and running in the direction. Stalls had collapsed. Carts were sliding. Jack froze. He didn't want to where to go. That way! Shouted Annie. Jack followed her as they ran past the temple of Jupiter. Its mighty columns had fallen and the walls were crumbling. They ran past public baths just as the roof caved in. Which way now? Shouted Annie. The treehouse is in the olive grove, Jack asked. They kept running. The olive grove and the bridge were near the streets above the pro shops, said Annie. Remember the bridge? Jack looked up the erupting mountains. A red hot cloud billowed over it. Fire spilled the slopes. Air hidden Mount Fizz, he said. It was behind us, came into Bombay. Right, cried Annie. So while others ran away from the mountain Vesuvius, Jack and Annie ran toward it. On the street were the shops. Baskets and broken jars rolled over the cracked stones. Jack and Annie ran past the bakery and the butcher shop. They ran past the butcher and barber shop. All the shops were empty. Their owners had left. The closer they got to the volcano, the more the ground tumbled. The darker, dustier it got. This is just a nightmare, cried Annie. Jack choked about fumes. His eyes burned. Look, the olive grove, shouted Annie. The tree house is just over there. Come on! Jack couldn't see, but he found Annie. They left the street and ran to the drive-through street near the grove. Where's the bridge? cried Annie. They looked wildly. The bridge had vanished.
Chapter 9. Save Us.
The bridge must be caved in, cried Annie. Jack stared at the drive stream. Pumice and piled up huge drifts like snow. We'll have to get through the stop to get across, said Jack. He and Annie slid down the bank onto the pile of pumice. As they started to move across, more and more fell. Jack tried to move on the millions of woven grayish white pebbles, but he was trapped. I'm stuck, cried Annie. Me too, said Jack. Remember the Morgan said, Annie. At the moment, Jack remembered anything. He was too tired and dazed. In your darkest hour, all the ancient story can help save you, cried Annie. Where's your bag? Jack lifted the bag in the air above the sea of pumice. Annie grabbed it and pulled an ancient stool. She hooded the dark sky. Save us, story! She shouted. Jack felt himself sink deeper and deeper into the pumice. Suddenly he heard a deep voice said, Rise, son. Then someone lifted Jack up in the air. The flash of fire lit the dusty darkness. In the red light, Jack saw the biggest, strongest man he'd ever seen in his life. The man looked like a gladiator, but even bigger than one they had seen earlier. He had Jack in one hand and one knee the other. He placed both at the bank and screamed. Run! The giant gladiator boomed. Before it's too late. Jack and Annie didn't stop to ask any questions. Together they charged through the olive grove. They jumped over fallen branches. They leaped over cracks in the earth. Finally, they came to the tree with the magic treehouse. They grabbed me and the rope ladder, scampered up to the treehouse. "Where's the Pennsylvania book?" Jack shouted. He was too blinded ash and dust to find the book while we took them home. "I forgot it," cried Annie. "I wish we should go there." Jack felt the treehouse start to spin. It spun faster and faster and faster. Then everything was still. Absolutely wonderfully, peacefully still.
Chapter 10. A Simple Explanation.
Jack didn't move. He had never been so tired in all his life. "Breathe," said Annie. Jack gulped in cold, clean air. He opened his eyes. He couldn't see a thing. "Take off your glasses," said Annie. "They're filthy." Jack took off his glasses. The first thing he saw is a backpack. The white tunics and laced-up sandals were gone. She was their pillows hat and the leather bag. Jack let out a long, deep breath. As he cleaned up the glasses of his shirt, a voice came from behind him. "I'm very glad to see you safe and sound." Morgan Le Fay stood in the corner of the treehouse. She looked the loveliest mysteries ever. "Have you done?" she asked. Jack nodded. The sound of the erupting volcano still echoed in his ears. It was pretty scary," he said to the hoarse voice. "I know, but you were truly brave," said Morgan. "You witnessed the famous mystery. Nowadays, scientists study the remains of Pompeii to find out more Roman times." "I feel bad for all those people," said Annie. Yes, said Morgan, "but most of the people of Pompeii did escape. The city wasn't completely buried at ash until the next day." "We were almost trapped," said Annie, "but we asked the ancient story to save us. Then a huge gladiator helped us." Jack reached into his pack. He breathed and sighed in relief. The scroll was still there. He took it out. It was covered with dust and ashes. "Here's the story," said Jack. He handed it to Morgan. "I am deeply grateful," she said softly. "You risked everything to bring this to me. I can never thank you enough." "Don't worry about it," said Jack. He didn't want Morgan to know how scary he had been. "Yeah, no problem," said Annie. Morgan smiled. "You were amazing, Master Librarians," she said. "Do you think you were up to rescue another ancient story?" "Yes," said Annie. "Now?" said Jack. Actually, he was a little tired now. Morgan laughed. "No, take a nice vacation. Come back 2 weeks from today. Then you will take a trip. Ancient China," she said. "Ancient China? Wow," said Annie. "Oh man," said Jack. "Go home now and rest," said Morgan. She handed Jack his pack. "Thanks," he said. "Bye." "Bye," said Annie. Morgan gave them a little wave. Then Annie and Jack left the treehouse and headed down the rope ladder. When they reached the ground, Jack looked up. "Morgan," he said. "What is the story about? The one we just rescued?" "It's called The Strongest Man in the World," said Morgan. "It's a lost tale about Hercules." "Hercules?" said Jack. "Yes, he was one of the heroes of the Greeks and Romans," said Morgan. "He was the son of Jupiter." "Oh, wow! Now I get it," said Annie. "I'm taking back to Mount Camelot's library," said Morgan. "Everyone will be so excited to read it. Thanks to you." She waved to them. "Goodbye for now." As she waved, the wind began to whirl. The treehouse started to spin. In the blur of shadow and light, Morgan and the magic treehouse were gone. Jack and Annie started walking through the woods. "Get it? Get it?" said Annie. "Get what?" said Jack. "We were saved by Hercules," said Annie. "We asked the story to save us, and the Hercules appeared." "That's not impossible,"
said Jack. It was just
It was
some
just
gladiator
God.
The story of Hercules is a myth. That means he never really lived.
They left the woods and started up to the street. I know it's a myth, said Annie, but I have a simple explanation. What? Said Jack. Hercules is a myth to people in this time, said Annie. But in Roman times, lots of people in Rome real.
So since we were in
Roman times,
he was real
to us. I don't know, said Jack. Did you ever hear the saying, said Annie, when in Rome, do as the Romans do? Jack laughed. Yeah, he looked up at the sky. Thanks, Hercules, he said softly, whatever you are. Jack, Annie, their dad called from the front porch. Time to go. Oh, brother, I forgot, said Jack. Yeah, I hope nothing exciting happened on that vacation, said Annie. Yeah, said Jack. I hope it's really, really boring. Hurry, their dad said. Coming, they called. Then they took off running for home and a restful vacation. 네, 이게 마지막 챕터의 마지막 장이었습니다. 네, 잭이랑 애니는 여행 잘 다녀왔겠죠? 네, 다음 14권도 기대해 주세요. 감사합니다.